Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today I want to talk about Battlefield Hardline now that it's been out for a little while and we can kind of gauge how the player base has received the title overall. I also want to talk about the fact that this is the first Battlefield game made not only outside of the militaristic theme, but the fact that it was also released a year after Battlefield 4 came out, something that DICE said they wouldn't do way back in like 2011, 2012, and it looks like EA might have forced their hand in that department, and it's kind of interesting to see what's happening now. Are the two games competing against each other, Battlefield Hardline versus Battlefield 4? Now, something that's been popping up in the news lately, which is interesting, is the fact that Battlefield 4 still has more players playing the game currently than Hardline does in total. Some of the systems have actually eked ahead in Hardline, but most of them haven't, especially the PC player base, which is what I play on, and it's a little disappointing to me just because the servers right now are so few, and it's hard to find certain game modes that I want to play. For example, I was really looking forward to playing the heist game mode when this title first launched, and it's very hard to find heist servers now, and I haven't even played all the maps on heist yet, so there's literally just some game modes and some events I haven't been able to see in the game yet due to the lack of servers. Now, there's no actual argument about it. Hardline certainly didn't sell anywhere near as well as the big military shooters that DICE releases. And I don't really think this comes as a surprise to anyone, especially EA. I believe this title was sort of designed as an in-between game by a different company, and they're basically using a lot of the same assets from Battlefield 4. Therefore, they probably saved a fortune on the production costs from the game, and they probably also did the market research ahead of time, so they were expecting how many sales they were going to get and marketed the game accordingly. And even though the game hasn't done as well as previous Battlefield titles, it was still on the top of the game sales charts for March in the US and UK. So that's saying a lot right there. The game has sold well overall. It's got a lot of people playing it, and it's brought in a lot of new fans. And that's kind of one of the points I want to hit on now, is the fact that Battlefield Hardline isn't necessarily competing directly with Battlefield 4. In fact, a huge portion of the player base, when you look at the numbers of people playing this game versus Battlefield 4, are new players to the franchise entirely, and that was definitely one of the design goals with Battlefield Hardline. They knew it wasn't going to appeal to the hardcore military audience all around, and so it's bringing in players that are more interested in sort of a cops and criminals theme, and that's certainly not a bad thing for the franchise. All things considered, this launch could have been a huge disaster was Hardline not up to snuff or not a decent game in general, and then that would have just killed the reputation of EA and Visceral, and it basically would have hurt any future Battlefield game sales. But fortunately, Hardline's actually a pretty solid title overall. I mean, the fact that most of my complaints about the game right now are balance complaints and not like netcode complaints or the game is crashing complaints and stuff like that is a pretty good sign, considering those have been all my complaints of, say, Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 at launch. I mean, oh my god, it took a long time before Battlefield 4 was even at the point where you were considering balancing out the guns, and that's even something still that I don't think Battlefield 4 has really mastered. So I think overall it is a good thing that this game appeals to a new audience of players, a new crowd of players. I think it's unfortunate that there's so many militaristic shooter fans out there that don't want to give this game a try, because I think it's pretty solid, and especially on PC there just haven't been that many adopters. You could argue that like a lot of the adopters on console or PS4 or something like that are new fans to the franchise and are just trying out a new game, but on PC it seems like there just aren't enough people, and I attribute that a little bit to the fact that PC has definitely got that more hardcore fan base of military games. All the military sim games exist on PC, so you could see why Battlefield would be a popular game on PC, but all of a sudden they turn it to cops and criminals and you lose the PC audience. Now, at first I thought this might also affect the sales of Battlefront on computer because it's Star Wars theme and not hardcore military, but then I thought about it and it's like, what do Star Wars nerds have? They all have computers. They're all computer geeks essentially, so I imagine there's going to be a lot of PC players for Battlefront. So I'm a little bit less concerned about the player population, but I will say I am concerned about the player population on PC for Hardline, because I like the game, I want to continue playing the game, but it's going to be hard to continue playing this game if I can only get in a server during peak hours. And just to give you an example, these stats I pulled midday on Wednesday, there were 4,929 players playing Battlefield Hardline and 20,417 players playing Battlefield 4. So there was over 4 times as many PC players for BF4 as there were Hardline. And I already think that the servers in Battlefield 4 are a little bit lacking in terms of the variety that you want to play. I mean, try and find a good conquest game that doesn't have instant vehicle spawn nowadays. It's pretty darn hard to find on the PC. And so the fact that you only have a fourth of those servers to pick from in Hardline is certainly an indication that it's going to be really hard to find some of the game modes that you're really interested in playing. Now, to be fair, BF4 has been out for over a year and they've had some pretty amazing sales that have been like $10 for the game, probably even $5 for the game at certain times, where if you just bought it at the right time, you could get the full retail release of BF4 and you could just hop in. So I know some of those sales boosted the player base like on a massive level, and that could attribute to some of the player counts on PC at the moment, but it would certainly be nice to see some cool sales or certain things going on that might boost the PC player base, because I would hate to see this game die off on PC. I really don't think it's going to die off on consoles anytime soon, because they've got a nice strong player base going on both the PS4 and Xbox One. In fact, both next-gen consoles have way more Hardline players than they do Battlefield 4 players right now. So it's kind of interesting to see that dynamic being so different. So many more console players adopting Hardline versus PC players. So what do you guys think about the player base? Do you think I'm right about the hardcore military shooters being primarily on PC and not wanting to adopt a cops and criminals themed game? Or do you think it's something else? I would love to hear your theories in the comments. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.